think that one's actually good. I don't.
I don't think they can
My
do that.
dad took care of that stuff. My husband doesn't, obviously. That wasn't one of the things that like I inherited as a job that I'm supposed to do. But my husband's not my dad.
Good evening.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta register my car. That's my neighbor.
Alrighty. I'll order the March 25th meeting of the Durham Select Board here at 6:30. We have a quorum. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, we have everyone here. Do we have any amendments to the agenda? Alright, seeing none. Do we have any public comment? I don't see any public, so that's going to be no. And we just need to approve the meeting minutes from March 4th, 2025.
Yep, go ahead, Josh.
Move that we accept the March 4th, 2025 meeting minutes.
So we have a motion by Josh. Motion by Josh, seconded by Joe. Any discussion?
I just wondered why it's not part of the consent agenda? Is that new? Don't our minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's because we talked about it briefly, I think, last meeting, because usually you approve the previous meeting minutes before you begin your
Got
current
it.
meeting, and most other boards that I'm on.
Okay.
All right, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, unanimous. Old business. I don't have any old business on the agenda for tonight. New business. We have a property abatement, so we'll need a motion to move into the Board of Assessors.
So moved.
Motion by Josh to move into the Board of Assessors. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All opposed? Seeing none. All right, so we have our abatement here. Donna wrote it up. Barn has been assessed on the lot that's an error. Lot 78B was assessed as 48.92 acre parcel with an old barn prior to 2019, when the subdivision was approved and split into individual lots on records. Property owner retained a parcel but had removed the barn prior to the construction of the subdivision. However, it was never removed from the record. And so this seems like a more or less straightforward abatement of $158 because they were taxed on a barn that doesn't exist. Do you have any other discussion on this?
Move that we accept the abatement as proposed.
Second.
Motion by Josh, second by Joe. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? All right. And we now need a motion to exit the Board of Assessors.
So moved.
Motion by Josh. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. I don't know why I looked over at you, Joe. You guys have just been so quick with it over here. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? Any opposition? Alrighty. So we put this over. We have to adopt our general assistant ordinance, which we voted to increase last meeting or the meeting before we had the public hearing. Do I have a motion to adopt it as presented?
So moved.
So, all right, motion from Josh. Do I have a second?
A second.
Deb. Alrighty. Do we have any discussion on the motion? All right, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none? Holy cow. I feel like we're cruising. All right, review and discuss the town meeting PowerPoint. So we have our attachment here.
The warrant first.
Oh, wow. Yeah. We have to approve and sign the 2025 annual town meeting warrant. Before we get started I just want to discuss on this really great work by all the committees and boards that were involved with some of this warrant language this year. There has been a ton of public process, lots of opportunities for people to give feedback, and what's been really meaningful to me to see is that we started off this year with a goal to address some of these things, and I watched these committees modify the ordinance by including public feedback, both written and in person. And we realize that we have a lot of expertise in town on a lot of different subjects, and we're greater than the sum of our parts, and everyone came together. I think these articles reflect a lot of really hard work on the parts of all our boards and committees. So I just want to, and I'll say that again at the town meeting, but just want to say thank you to all of them. So we have a motion to accept the town meeting warrant.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, any additional discussion on the motion?
I just have a question, and
Yeah.
I should have raised it sooner, but by the time I thought of it, it was too late already. But by moving the town meeting to the second Saturday in June, does that allow us to do the town election with the school budget? Okay. I thought so, but I couldn't remember. Thank you.
Awesome. Alrighty. Any additional questions on the motion? Alright, all in favor? Any opposition? Alright, seeing none, that passes. Alright, now we need to approve, review and discuss the town meeting PowerPoint. So Jerry and Mark worked together to pull this together. I think the graphics look awesome on it. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
Mark deserves most of the credit.
yeah. I mean, my PowerPoint tries to prompt me to make things look this nice, and I never seem to be able to do so. But I think this looked really good. One thing that is just a pet peeve of mine, which I'm happy that we did here, is oftentimes a lot of people don't realize greens and reds get used a lot in presentations, and like 15% of the population is green-red colorblind, and so it's really good to avoid that, because a lot of times when people see greens and reds, one in six people in the room can't discern it, and so I'm really happy to see this color tone. Blue's a really good neutral color, so I really like seeing that. I like the way we've laid out the general fund balance, and we've got our long-term debt laid out here, and then discussion, explanation for all the reserves, the current balance in each one of the long-term capital planning. The only thing I didn't see in here is I want the opportunity to share if we had to make any purchases out of capital funds this year, just to share with people, nothing was purchased out of capital this year because of good management by the department, or we did need to meet that capital expenditure, because I know that that's something that we have on the website. We have the schedule, we don't have whether things were purchased or not in here. So that's one thing I did want to add.
Okay.
Just because if the first question is, did we need to buy anything this year? And it's like, before we even get to that, we can just say, and I think it also shows the process of this system working well, because we didn't have to necessarily buy the things that we were planning on buying, to show we can be more flexible there. Heather?
Just while we're talking about the reserves and exactly what you're talking about, I don't know if this is still something that we can edit at this point or not, but I do think, especially given all the feedback that we had about the capital plan, is that what I'm calling it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Capital plan,
Yeah, that if we could print off the one page that shows the plan, and just put that with it, after the town reserve tab, before the land use ordinance tab, to be able to say, this is what the 10-year plan looks like, right? So that even though we're not tying it to a specific thing, here's the 10-year plan included in the town report, so that when someone wants to go back and look at it next year, they can get it right from the same document.
Okay. 3 pages, fire, public works, and
Yeah, I think that's a
Buildings?
good idea, Heather.
okay.
And I think
You
that
got
putting it at the end there is good because this is a really clear communication of everything we have here. Sorry.
Are you even printing this out for everybody? Or is it?
No, I was just gonna have it go
All of
up
it.
on the,
All I was gonna say is whoever prints it next time, hit the fit to.
Right.
yeah.
But it will be, if you add it,
Yeah, we'll add
right? And then, like, if you go to the website now and you go to the town
Yeah,
town meeting information, you can look at last year's,
Oh, I
right?
get
And
it,
so when all the conversation comes
No,
up
I-
about, I just think it's good to tie it to
Now,
it.
the only other question I had too here is we only are including the select board budget recommendations in here in this presentation, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that that is appropriate because that is what we are presenting to the community. And then the warrant article will say whether the planning board is in agreement or not. They're
Budget
only out of budget committee. They're only out of agreement on one of the things, and that's the first one, so it's not, I think it's, important that we just include our number here, because we're not presenting somebody else's number for them.
My one other piece of feedback regarding the long-term capital planning, and I know that there's a note down here at the bottom that says amount raised for fiscal year 26 or 1.5 times the annual amount raised. I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to get complicated, but at the same time, if someone's looking at this online ahead of the meeting and they're looking at the warrant, right, those numbers aren't the same. And I completely understand that we're saying the annual amount raised and then we have that footnote. But that number, the annual amount raised, doesn't match the 270, it doesn't match the 305. So I'm looking at the warrant articles, right, and how we have, raise and appropriate for fire capital, 270, and then when they're looking at fire and rescue over here, that number's not the same. And again, I understand the reason why, I just feel like if somebody is looking at both of those, they might question why.
But this isn't going up until the town meeting, and it's for Joe to talk about
Well,
at the beginning.
It is on the website right now, though, for people to see.
This?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean, the draft is living there, it doesn't mean that it's locked in.
I mean, maybe we could just put the number that's on the warrant in parentheses, or something, if there's a way, or maybe that's not, maybe I'm just overthinking it, but,
I
No, I
think people should
understand
come
what
in
you're
with
saying.
questions, I think it's good for them. Hey, if you could see how many people actually looked, and
okay.
frankly, that's, I think it's,
Because I understand what you're saying, Heather, is you're saying, like, when we look at the budget,
Like here,
numbers,
it's hard to see because it got cut off,
Oh,
right? But see, it'll say annual amount raised, and then I think, I don't know what the number is, but then when you look here, I'm gonna go back to fire, right? So it says annual amount raised, that number is not 270, because 270 is 18 months, but this number is 12 months. And I just think that maybe that might be confusing for people. But, I'm not trying to split hairs. I'm
no,
just
I understand what you're saying, is that when that page is showing the annualized contribution to the reserves rather than all the contribution, the total 18-month number that we have budgeted for this budget
So-
cycle.
So in a nutshell, you want the 12-month number shown?
The 12-month number is what shows in the presentation.
But in the warrant language, it's showing the 18-month number. And so I think we should put the 18-month number in the presentation and say annual, and then underneath, say annualized at that number that's currently on
I'm sure
there.
the numbers are the same on
Yeah.
both.
So the amount to raise, so.
I have
Well,
one
that's the same
other
Feminist.
thing,
for capital.
I think
1 second,
you
Joe.
mean
I'll
the
wait
10
till
or
they're done.
15, is that what you
Right.
mean, like, for example?
And then, like-
I think you could probably go either way. I mean, if it says annual amount.
Yeah.
It
And
does
you know
say-
it's an 18-month
Right.
budget.
yeah. Just make it clear so
Is it
people
different?
don't see two different numbers, that's
I
the
mean-
trick to it.
That's my
Raise for FY 26.
my thought process is if we, on that sheet, on the, sorry, which one am I on here?
Long-term capital.
Long-term capital planning. it says current balance and then annual amount raised, and it lists the annualized number.
Yeah,
As in right now, we're looking, when you look at the budget, it's the 18-month number. And so to Heather's point, someone's gonna say, well, it's saying that you're only raising this much, but why are we voting on a bigger number? So I think that it could be beneficial to put the, put current balance and then put the 18-month budget number that we're voting on, and then underneath that say annualized at, and then show what the annualized rate is.
The long-term capital plans.
So you don't think that footnote is sufficient to put people on notice? So we
Right,
can-
that's what I'm thinking.
I see the,
You know,
I
it's
see the
like-
footnote, but I, at the bottom it says annual amount raised for FY 26 or 1.5 times the annual amounts. So I see it, you can do either
So she's saying
option.
where it says 10, but in the warrant it says 15.
And the footnote is there, I just don't think people are gonna look at that little footnote versus they're gonna look at that upper number, and then when we go to the warrant.
And it's pretty easily explained too.
I mean, that is true. We're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
explain, I mean, there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of discussion about annualized in this,
Yeah.
in this town
Yeah.
meeting. And I do think that there is we have the footnote here, but there also is the value here of putting that annual amount is showing that this is the plan that we all agreed upon last year. And so in that regard, I've kind of talked myself out of the 18-month.
So
number
can you
on
just
there.
make a note to yourself that when you're explaining, maybe address that?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
oh yeah, the annualized discussion is gonna be very prominent in this town meeting.
But when we get to this discussion, when you're doing your
Yeah, I'm
presentation,
gonna say, but
and
these
then
are,
refer to, like, when you get to municipal budget, refer to whatever article it is and explain why it's different.
First page is explained right there,
yeah, I'll repeat it there.
because you don't want, I think we're throwing too many numbers. And
Yeah,
I think
'cause-
the annual amount that we're asking the town to raise every year are those numbers. And this is just an odd year because we're going to 18 months for.
And the next annual budget, it'll be back to that
Back to the
annual
smaller
amount.
Yeah,
number.
and I do think it
It's
is
just never
important to
touched
show that we started down the path of a set annual amount and that we are keeping this in this budget, and that's showing that. So I think I've talked myself out of it, but I think it was a good.
As long as you talk about it and address
Yeah.
it, like by mentioning the article and the difference
Oh,
in the numbers, I'm
absolutely.
comfortable with that.
I got one thing.
Yeah, sure.
Page 7 and 8. So when I first looked at this, and then I realized afterwards, it was
Can you
just,
tell me what the header is? Sorry.
it's property taxes, radio taxes,
Yep.
go or do, or what do they do? So you got the same picture on both pages, and with the table, and I first looked at it and says, oh, why they have two slides with the same picture, which verbiage do they want? Either bring the verbiage from down below the second page up to the first page and put it all in that one area, and make it fill up that whole rest of the page and get rid of the second picture, or put a second picture in and get rid of the table on the second page. It just makes you think there's something different going on page 1 from page 2, and it's really not, it's the same message.
One of them's for 24 and one of them's for
No,
26.
No.
26 and
No.
26.
Oh, these two, okay,
Yeah.
right here.
I did think it was a duplicate until I looked closer.
That's right, and I did the same thing, and I said, all right, what's wrong with this? And that was my first thought, and I'm like, well, there's nothing wrong, it's just that they didn't come up with a second picture to put in the second page.
Well, the second one's basically telling you that the first one is just estimates only, so you can't bank on that.
I get it, but don't put the same picture in there.
Or can you make it, like, if you change the font size, can
Yeah,
you just
can you
get
just
this paragraph
put it
right
up there?
here and
Yeah.
then get rid of that whole second page?
I would get rid of the second page altogether, or get rid of the picture altogether. I get what
Yeah,
you're saying.
so you want this,
All that moved
Right
out
here?
there,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's-
understand.
that's
what-
easy enough.
but I understand, or
Yeah.
omit this page and
Yeah.
then just say, hey,
Just bring that up.
this is where your money's going,
Yeah.
but this is all an estimate because
Yeah.
we have to estimate that education.
yeah,
Or
that's
hear me out on this one, because it's a lot of words on one page for some people.
It
Right.
is. Yeah.
How about if, where do your property taxes go, and then fiscal year 2026, page 1, and then page 2? And that way you can see there's two separate pages, and it's not so much writing on each page.
I still
Which, Because I don't think you wanna put so much writing, because some people might be slower and you might be flipping too fast.
I have one other
That
thing.
would-
One second.
Yeah, as long as you get rid of the picture, I'm good with that too.
Or if you just say page 1, page 2 somewhere, I
Yeah,
think.
just-
Or you could do pie on this one
Or you
and,
could do a different graph on
and
the other one.
the Excel tab on the second
So
one.
Yep,
when
you
I'm
can do
looking
that
at
too.
these,
Yep,
when I'm looking
that
at
would
these
work.
two, the first one says fiscal year 26, and then it says estimated. And so on the second page, it's reiterating that this is estimated.
Where are you seeing, oh, fiscal year, this is estimated, yeah.
And so it's saying it's estimated up here, and then the bottom page is essentially reiterating the message and saying that homestead reimbursement comes into this. Education is determined by the RSU. On this second page where it says these estimates only, I would say just take that valuations are finalized, put it underneath the county proportion is lower than all else, that line here. And then just add, like you said, add that text box underneath here and omit this page. I don't think we even need the second page. It's a lot of text on the slide, but I can just hit the bullet points there.
Easy, easy.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Is there a reason why we don't put slide numbers on it? I think it would be good because if people bring it up on their phone during the meeting, maybe, you know?
Well, I would like to think they'd be looking at the screen and
Yeah.
listening to
True.
Joe, but, I mean, we can.
yeah,
I think it would be good. to have slide
Work.
numbers.
works for me.
I have a question while we're on this page that will probably get asked. It's, maybe it's when I looked at no, it's in the budget, when I looked at the budget. Wait a second. It's about county tax. And I know that we've already gone through the budget at length. Where did I see it? Where am I looking? Somebody help me.
I
Right
don't know
here.
what you're looking for.
I'm looking at budget, municipal budget tax levy, and then fiscal year 12-month county tax, $742,000. And then in fiscal year 26, 18-month, $816,000. And we've been talking about how the county tax is
But it says
going,
negative 26.7.
well, we've been talking about how it's going to 9%.
Yeah, and it's only getting
Because
paid once
it's
in
only
this
paid
budget.
once during that budget.
Oh, okay, see? Perfect. There, look, everybody's right on it, and I'm just not. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, because that is one of the elements here where it's like, oh, this is down 26%.
Yeah.
Saying, oh no, it's actually up 9%, but we're only paying it once.
Yeah.
So maybe on that one line, could you put in parentheses the 9% that it's up to just be a visual reminder for, or maybe I'll just remember to note that negative
I'll remember you.
26.7% reflects only being paid once, but that county tax is up 9%.
Yeah.
Just do later in the year.
Yeah,
Because I think you're gonna say some of these bills are paid once, some are paid twice, and that's why
Right.
there's a difference.
and
Yeah.
I don't know what your speech is gonna be, but I think that needs to be included.
annualized, and some of these things are paid once, and some of these things are paid twice, and some of these things are paid monthly, is going to be said more than anything else at this town meeting, for sure.
Are you gonna have a chance to come in and kind
Yeah.
of go over this with me and we
Yeah.
can make, because some of these changes are just real quick.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can have it done in 10
absolutely.
minutes.
Yeah,
And also just to go over like how we're gonna do things at the beginning, when we discuss the scholarship presentation.
try. Can we discuss it? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
if you could just pop in sometime, we
Yeah,
can just go over
absolutely,
it.
yeah. Any other questions on this presentation?
I think on the slide with the municipal budget where we say TIFs, the town currently doesn't have any, I bet a lot of people don't know what a TIF is. Is there a way we can spell that out?
Yeah.
Do you wanna eliminate it?
No,
I-
I
No,
no,
say, instead of saying TIF, say tax increment. You could say TIF and then maybe just put like an asterisk
Oh,
and
you
then
want-
what the
Right,
initials
right.
stand
I would just
for.
spell out tax increment financing, and then in parentheses put, or I wouldn't even put, in parentheses put TIFs.
Okay.
I like this, I like these edits. I will say, when we get to the second to last page here, the land use ordinance amendments, Article 19, 2021. George has a really great presentation on all of these that he can, he's got it really narrowed down to like an elevator pitch type thing. He's very quick with it. My thought process is to have George give that presentation. That he's not advocating for policy in the presentation, just doing the explanation of what that is. It's been consistent as you could, as consistent as you can imagine. This whole time, it's the message that everyone's seen. I would just say we just have him do that, and then if there's policy questions, the board can answer those. If we don't feel comfortable answering them, we can then defer to the planning board if necessary. But I feel like we understand these well as well. And at this point, it's our warrant language, not a board or committee's warrant language. So I think that we'll just have George make that.
So you're gonna do these three discussion, just quick, go through an overview, and then at the end of your presentation, you're gonna roll and hand it to George to have him do his presentation.
Well, my thought was, I wanted to get your all's feedback, because if we do this all right here and then we go into voting on the budget, by the time we get through that budget, depending on how long it takes. I mean, the first article is the only one that is different than the rest, but that could be a long, lengthy debate. I don't want people to have forgotten what was in the presentation as we go into Article 19, and so I'd almost like to rather have us do all the budget stuff, and then when we go into the ordinance warrant articles, have George do the presentation. We can do the presentation just to get everyone on the same page. Then we go into the articles, and that's where policy questions and debate can kind of come into play.
So you mean have George do his summary briefing right before we vote on these ordinances?
Yes, so after we're done with the budget, before we go into the ordinance vote, then have George do that presentation, and then we'll move into the warrant language articles.
Okay, so even when we go over this PowerPoint in the beginning, when you could get to this slide and say, we're gonna vote on 3 ordinances today, and we'll summarize them right before you vote.
That's exactly, I'm gonna
And you could
say,
just read off the title of each one.
exactly,
No more
and then it'll say, we're gonna have a presentation
Yeah.
from the town planner
Yeah,
on the information
Yeah.
right before we vote on Article 19, 20, and 21.
yeah.
Are you gonna do, George does 19, and then we talk.
Vote on 19 and then
Vote on
20.
19, and then have George do 20. I
I
think
do them
that,
all 3
Do
at the
them
same
all.
time.
I was gonna do all 3 right at the same
Let
time.
them all,
They're not long presentations.
yeah, I would,
And I think he's gonna condense it even more.
Yeah, I mean, it is very much like, here's the facts and figures here. I think that,
It's gonna confuse people, and people are gonna have questions for each individual one.
I think we
It
should
should be
clear that.
separate.
I
Think
think so
so?
too, I really do.
I absolutely think doing it together is gonna confuse people, and he's gonna come right back up for each one, because people are gonna have questions for him.
that's a fair point too.
And I don't think it's gonna be any more time consuming. He's gonna sit in the same seat and answer questions.
He's gonna he's gonna be there anyways, so.
I think there's gonna be people that care very much
About
about
different ones.
individual
Sorry.
ones, right? And I think that,
because they're all separate subjects.
yes, they're all very different from each other, and I think the people that are invested in each of the things is a different population of people, and I
Sure,
personally think that they should be separated.
works for me. Are you all fine with that?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yep.
Either way.
Cool. I know we did discuss doing the warrant articles before the budget because the lawyer's paid hourly and she's gonna be there for the meeting, right?
If you would like her there.
Do we feel like we need her there?
I think it's a done,
Because
it's a done deal at
Yeah.
that point.
I mean, we are getting, the comments we do get is, I don't agree with the lawyer's interpretation. And so I don't necessarily wanna have her paid to, litigate it out there with, because it's, it's not, it is what it is. It's a, whether you like it or not at this point, moving forward. So
Is
I
Mark
just,
coming?
And,
yeah,
yep.
I think it's important to have Mark there.
I think it's,
Okay.
I honestly think it's more important to have Mark there than to
Yeah.
have Kristen there.
So,
Kristen's off the hook.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, is that the way everybody else feels?
Yeah, I know,
if there's legal questions, we'll defer to Josh.
yeah.
And when someone says, I don't agree with the lawyer's opinion,
Yeah.
you know what your answer is? Where'd you get your law degree?
Yeah.
You have insurance if you're wrong? No?
I'll leave that one to you, Josh. All right. Do we have any other questions on this?
Nice work.
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
Mark did a lot
Looks
of
really
it.
good.
But, yeah. A little different than last year, but somewhat similar.
I like it.
And I think doing it the way that we're talking about doing it, right? We get through the budget, Mark can leave. He doesn't, right? So-
Right.
I think
Right,
Mark's gonna be
right.
running out of there by the time we're done with the budget.
No, it went great last year.
Yeah, it went
Yeah.
pretty-
Yes.
I think it
really
will this
well.
year.
Yeah, I think it will. All right. I don't think we have to vote on anything here, but just wanted everyone's feedback so we're all on the same page.
Looks good.
Jerry and I can come in early next week
Yeah.
and sit down and get those edits.
I'll have most of it done for you anyway, just for you to review and make sure it's. where you
All
want.
right.
I did see a comment that people were asking about are these out and available and?
Yeah, we just got them today.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Can that go in the news blast this week that they're available in print for people to pick up?
It's part of my manager's report.
Oh,
You're stealing
sorry,
my
sorry.
thunder.
Oh, sorry, I'm stealing your thunder.
right.
Sorry. Jeez.
Alrighty,
Walk
well,
out,
we'll move
Jerry.
into manager
Just walk
report.
out. Ruined.
Manager's report, me? Oh, good.
got
A few
nothing
things here. So the trifold that we did, that we put together, that mailed you, all get yours.
We got it? Yep.
So we haven't had any really feedback from anyone, no questions, nothing. So, that's good, I think. So, which begs to question, if
you all
nobody has
get
any
yours in the
questions
mail?
and they understand it,
No, we didn't
is a
mail
video even necessary?
Oh, I was like,
Yeah, I was like, I didn't get one in the
No,
mail.
we didn't mail them to the select board. We saved this, we
Oh.
saved,
I
we
got
saved the
one.
stamp.
Oh,
My husband got it.
Oh, well,
I
it was
did.
probably because his name.
I do. People did get them.
I appreciate
though,
your
because-
saving money by not mailing it to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
office.
I grabbed them as I saw them, I was like,
Surprise.
and there's.
My ex-husband lives in town, and he doesn't pay attention to any of this kind of stuff. This is not his thing. And he got that, and when he came to the house to drop something off for the kids, he was like, "What is this all about? I got a pamphlet." You know, so people did get it, and they read
Good.
it, and he had questions. You know, so I think we will get questions at town meeting.
Yeah, good.
But I know that at least he read it, and he doesn't normally engage in this stuff. So.
yeah, we haven't had many calls at all,
We haven't had anything.
so I think that's good. Few bids went out, we did pretty good on those. The only thing that went up was propane by 10 cents. It's not a big deal. Everything else went down as far as fuel and all that stuff, so that's good. Not by much, but a little.
So, quick question about that. Do we lock in a price for the year?
Yeah,
That 12 or 18 months.
12.
I think we're gonna want to lock it in while it's low.
Yeah, I locking in is better than Rack Plus because it's got better budget stability that way you can estimate, so. Paving bids went out today, those came back good, interesting. We certainly know who's gonna end up getting the bid. The lowest price per ton was 84, and the next lowest was 102.
Wow.
So, and there was 5 bidders, so that's good. Oh, and if you didn't know, the annual report is out, that came in today. So residents can
It's
come
nice.
pick it up.
It's
Really
very
nice.
They work hard on that.
Award-winning.
The award-winning annual report.
And it's,
We
you know,
have to say that when we mention the annual report.
a lot of effort goes into that for a lot of people, so that's a shared effort by a lot of folks, so good job to the staff for putting that.
Jerry, I'm gonna
together.
say my favorite is the dog issued license with the little dog. Let's pause over the top of it on page 11.
Another thing is, I did get a call from Paul First. He no longer wants to sit on the appeals board, so we have,
That's
he's up in April,
unfortunate.
so we have an opening there that we'll have to advertise for and try to get somebody on it that's no longer a select board maybe member.
Definitely
Joe.
thank Paul. Yeah. Definitely thank Paul for his time and commitment on that. He always managed meetings extremely well.
Yeah.
Very professional.
So the facility study update is coming. GP Cog will come here on our May 13th meeting and give us an update on how that process went, give us some feedback and possibly next steps. So 5/13/25, they'll be here. I attended a conference last Friday up in Bangor, the Maine Town City Managers Association, and one thing that I like about that conference is, well, every time I go to one of those conferences, they talk about the legislation that's coming down, and there's a lot of talk about finding a way to have property tax relief. And I think Joe will talk maybe a little bit about something in his board report, but we're on a little, I don't know, call it a committee, but there's this like group that's getting together to discuss ways of doing that. It's really interesting, you know, through sales tax and some other types of stuff. So good program they put together. Codification. So update on codification. So the legal and the editorial reviews are done. Okay, so there's about 139 discrepancies or questions that we have to go through. So what's going to happen, and some of those 139s are typos and some of them are actual policy questions. So the first step in this is the planner is going to go through it, and he's going to, you know, make this simple. And what do I got here? He's going to fix the simple and small errors that are in there, like throughout the land use ordinances, it refers to selectmen that versus select board. So he'll make those kinds of mistakes. And then the second, that he'll package together the minor and the major, like policy and administrative discrepancies. And then what we'll do is we'll bring them to you folks to present, and then we'll make a plan from there and how you want to handle that. And we'll probably do that at the May 27th meeting to give him time to get, because there's a lot there, but still. So figured May 27th to kind of get a presentation on what the discrepancies are in the land use ordinance that George will put together. We have to get back to Geocode by July 25th with all of the edits that we want to make. All right, so I would expect that June, our meetings will have to have some workshops and really pound this out to see what policy direction you want to go. But as we dive through it and get into it, we'll know more how it's going to unfold. It's almost like kind of a design build type thing. So that's where we are with codification. And I think that pretty much concludes my report. A lot kind of going on, but we're doing good. So, and I will be on vacation April 20th, so I won't be at the second meeting in April. But the first one, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I hope so, because I already got a plane ticket purchased.
Hopefully you're doing something fun. Cool. Board member reports. I'll start off. Jerry mentioned it a little bit. So the Circle of Chairs event that Deb and I went to, budget and taxes was a really big discussion for every municipality there, from Portland to Durham, to big to small. There was no one who didn't have an issue, and I was actually really felt pretty good about where we're at compared to some of our surrounding communities in terms of how we've been able to kind of mitigate those increases, where some of the other communities are looking at 3 years straight of like 9% municipal budget increase, not including county and tax. So what came out of that meeting, and I just got this email last week, was an invitation to myself and Jerry to serve on like a task force on tax policy and tax issues for municipalities. And GPCOG is working with Maine Municipals Association, and they wanted Jerry and I there as a representative for a rural town, because we're one of the more rural towns in GPCOG. I think Harrison's the most rural in there, but it's where they want to hear our voice, because when Deb and I were there, some of the solutions that some of the larger municipalities brought up, you know, we vocalized that really would not work well for us. And so, happy to be part of that. Nothing's been scheduled yet. Just today I followed up to ask if anything else has been moving along, but nothing's been scheduled yet. And so, as more information comes through, I will keep everyone here updated as well. Also, I want to say, Joe, it's your last meeting on the board. We really appreciate all your time and yeah, because he's not running for re-election, and we don't. And after this is our last meeting before the town meeting.
Well, shoot, I would have made a cake or something.
Well, I just want to say thank you for your contribution to the board. It's been amazing, especially with all of your background and history with being on the planning board and all those sorts of things. It's been really great to have you here. We're gonna miss you next year, but we're hoping there's a new spot open on the appeals board, so. I think the budget committee is always looking for new members too, so it'd be great to see you stay involved, but hopefully you have something fun planned, so.
Very much, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
And I don't have anything else for board member reports today, other than I really appreciate everyone's feedback on this, so. Josh.
I was just gonna thank Joe too, but now that you stole that thunder, we'll embarrass him another time. So, and I would reiterate what you said about the great work that everybody did putting in all this work for the town meeting. It all looks good, and I know that people are not gonna like some of the things we did, but I think what we did is best for this town, and that's all we can do.
Joe.
Nope, thank you very much. No, thank you to everybody on the board. I've had a good time, been a fun 3 years. Thanks to the Public Works, Fire Department, and town staff. They supported all of us along the way and done a great job for the town, and they continue to do so. So keep up the good work, and I'm sure everything will go fine moving forward. So, no, thank you again. That's been a fun time.
Heather.
Thank you, Joe, and I would have made a cake if I had thought about it. And again, same as everybody else, this is all awesome. I think everybody did a really great job. I am the kind of person who reads this cover to cover multiple times, so I love a good town report.
Award-winning town report.
A what? Award-winning, yes.
town report.
So one of the things that I don't know where we landed on like what the rules are about it, but I feel no, not that, I'm not gonna bring that up. I feel very strongly about our election/poll volunteers. Is it in here? Oh, good, okay, because I was gonna say, where? Tell me, Jess, what
So the
page?
town clerk page,
11.
and then I think it's the paragraph above the.
See, I haven't had a chance to read it cover to cover yet. Election page,
That's great.
town report, wait, where?
The election workers, it's right here,
Page 11.
right
Where?
above, right here.
Right below to the dog.
Oh, good,
licenses.
okay, good. Okay. Anyway, I was gonna say, if it didn't make it in there, thank you for doing that. I appreciate so much that you did that. If it didn't make it in there, I was gonna ask that we read a list and ask them to stand so that people could recognize them at town meeting. But we don't have to do that if people don't wanna do that. I just think, given the world today, you know, there's some people that really deserve to be recognized. So thank you, Jessica, for making sure that that made it in there. I appreciate that very much. And that's all I had to say tonight.
Thanks, Heather. Deb.
All right, as I wrap up year one on the board, Jill, thank you for all your help and your service to the town. I just want to mention that the Solid Waste Committee picked a new chair, Juliet, was voted in as the chair at the last meeting. And the committee needs to have one working member and 2 alternates, so we need to put out a notice on that, if we haven't already. Did we do that yet? Okay.
Yep, we can do that,
Yeah.
yep, so I think Todd was your alternate.
So
if
he
you
moves
wanna
up.
if you wanna
Yeah.
bump him up. And then, so I think that leaves, does that make 5?
We need
then?
one, no, I'm just reading the minutes because I wasn't at the meeting, I was at the budget meeting.
I corresponded back with,
Oh, okay, Juliet,
I think, yes.
Okay.
Or Milt.
maybe Milt.
No.
All right, well, just,
Somebody.
if you could just do the follow-up and whatever we need to do to get
Yes,
the
yeah.
the
So-
membership squared away.
all, you guys are gonna reappoint, like the
New
staff
pe-
and then new committee. So, do you want me to just highlight the, openings for the committee appointments for when we're gonna reappoint in April?
Yes, yeah, I think that would be good.
Do that? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's vacancies on the historic, I think what we should do is do like,
Yeah, these are
audit
openings.
of
Yeah.
where vacancies are,
Yeah.
and then maybe you could also announce those at town meeting.
Right, that'd be good.
And that's a chance for us to be in a room with hopefully more than 200, but at least 200 residents that we might be able to get.
And it
So
would be
volunteer.
maybe helpful too to just have forms printed out there, so if someone leaves feeling motivated
Oh, the
to
application.
volunteer, they can fill it out right there. And
Yeah, it's a similar thing about, you know, publicly thanking people for their service to committees and boards. Might not be a bad idea, even though there's no PowerPoint slide on it, but,
No.
and we should confirm with each chair, this is what we have. We're looking at, you need one more member or 2 alternates or whatever, and just get them to sign the line. All right, thank you.
Boy, I feel like we should have put something else on the agenda. This
No,
feels
it's
like
alright.
the easiest meeting since I started.
Well, I think what's
Gonna take
really,
Joe out for a drink
I think what's really reflective here is that we managed our workload, our colossal workload really well this year. And so we're just now, you know, dotting i's and crossing t's today, which is what you really should be doing the meeting before a town meeting, because now it's not the time to be doing big policy changes like we've done all that. I feel like we sprinted a marathon this year. Alrighty. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Josh, do I have a second?
Second?
Joe, any discussion? All in favor of the motion? Any opposition? Seeing none, that's approved. Upcoming meetings, planning board meeting April 2nd at the fire station, ag committee meeting April 2nd at the Eureka Center, municipal elections April 4th at the Eureka Center from 8 to 8, annual town meeting April 5th at the Durham Community School starting at 9 a.m. sharp, select board meeting April 8th, 2025. That will be the first select board meeting after town meeting at the fire station at 6:30, and solid waste committee's meeting April 14th at the Eureka Center.
Don't adjourn yet. I have to ask a question.
Yeah.
Thank you. The poll,
Survey.
this,
Yeah.
is that what we're calling it?
Gazebo.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's happening
Yep.
right now
Yeah.
for early
Yes,
voting.
ballots, yep.
Yep, and then that's gonna, so that's not part of this because we don't know the outcome, but maybe you should just make yourself a note that you're gonna talk about that.
Is that something you're gonna count have the results of by Saturday morning?
Yes,
Do you need help?
potential.
Okay,
I'll let you know.
okay.
This year, no, like, it's not contentious, nobody's running against anybody, so we should be okay.
Okay.
Last year, hand counting.
I will say one thing I want to just tell you all now is I will be like leaving the second the town meeting ends because I have to go to a wedding. So if the town meeting goes past 2 o'clock, I will be leaving the second after it ends. If it's done before 2 o'clock, I can stay and help clean up. But I don't want anyone to think I'm being a bum and just getting out of there. So, anyways, do I have any reason for executive session? All right, seeing none, a motion to adjourn. I want to give Joe the opportunity to make the motion to adjourn at his last meeting. So,
Don't make me cry.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
all right, and I'll second it. So, any discussion? Any opposition?
Oh,
Sorry, all in favor? Any opposition? Seeing none, all right, we're adjourned. And that is by far our shortest meeting ever.
How you guys did that.
Good job, Joe.